Hello everyone, I'm Nick from nextstepnick.com and today we're going to talk about Gamedev Beatdown. Now, full disclosure, I received a code from the developer for this game. Really excited to play it too. The major premise is that you're playing as a developer inside a large corporation, but also on an indie basis, just learning about the game development sort of saga and fighting your way through arguments to make the kind of game of your dreams. Really interesting premise, some really cool stuff. I don't think it goes as far as it could. Does some really good stuff though in teaching people the terminology behind terms you might have heard in the games industry, and also looking at the different teams and how they play a different part in different decisions, comical decisions for the most part as the game goes on. And you work your way towards release day, just solving little random tasks that might come up. You know, sometimes you argue with another developer, sometimes you get into like a beatdown itself, sometimes you have to make a choice to sort of choose whether you raise a certain stat or lower another one. You'll notice on the top right of this screen I've got a few bars. Those bars, basically the higher they are, the better your game's going to do, and each one corresponds to a specific group inside of that creation team. So your sort of PR team, your development team, your tech team, all of them have a bit of a bearing. You sort of sell your games as you go further and further throughout the storyline, do better and better in regard to where you're working from and how much choice you have when making a game. And you've got like an optimum build, how a game will do really well if you build it in a certain way. I feel like though it doesn't really commit enough to that. There would be some really interesting stuff that I feel like it could do, but you don't have enough freedom really. You start off on a basic level, working within a corporation, you have no freedom whatsoever, and that's kind of treated as the first sort of third of the game, and that's very much a case of just learning how things work and kind of learning the gameplay and the mechanics, and you don't really have any choices when it comes to design. You know, the game's kind of picked for you. Later on, you start to get a few decisions, but you don't really have the clout to make anything good, so it's just a case of most of the games you make tend to be, well, mobile games, to be honest. Decision-wise as well, they seem really interesting at first, but a lot of them don't really have much bearing, so you can just randomly choose. It doesn't seem like some of them work very well together. The combat as well does a real 360, so it starts off as this combat where in the first two parts of the game you're doing a turn-based style energy management gameplay style, so it's kind of interesting. It's very sort of Darkest Dungeon-esque, but then as it gets further on it suddenly turns into just a sort of pick the direction and click. Didn't really like that, thought it was a bit counterproductive. Also, the music itself is interminable. I mean, check this out. That bit of music loops over and over again in every fight you have throughout the game. I played this for about 3 to 4 hours in one sitting at one point, just because I got a little bit addicted to the loop, to be honest, which is always a good sign. But I was purposely dodging combat because I hated the sound effects so much. And I was really excited to see there was like a shop where you could buy things with in-game currency. It wasn't sort of paying to win or anything like that. It's all in-game. And there's some really interesting fun stuff to do with generating hype and getting different stats, different levels, but it just feels like it falls short because you don't push it enough. I think there should be that element of freedom, because that's what people want to do really, is create their own game and learn about development at the same time in like a fun way. Whereas this tends to just be, a lot of it is RNG and it kind of takes the fun out. I mean, at one point, for example, I went bankrupt and there was no real repercussions. I just kept playing, and that's a shame. What I'd really like to see is invest in those choices, really punish people for making the wrong decisions when it comes to supporting the wrong group. Make it easy to understand when you support one group over another, because that's a little bit wishy-washy at the moment. You don't always know which one you're supporting. There is like a colour-based system, but sometimes it's hard to know what is going to be affected by what. And I think it's got some real potential if you give people that freedom to create their own thing. But also, don't be afraid to make people fail and really work hard to keep their team happy, because at the moment there's not enough repercussions. But it's a really nice starting point. But anyway, that's Gamedev Beatdown. If you do want to check it out, it is on Steam now in an early access build. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you again very soon.